Good afternoon, everyone. So much love to all of you as I joyously celebrate this day and welcoming one of my dearest sacred soul family members, my galactic brother, and one of my besties of many, many years now to this show. That this one is very special to my heart, as all of them are, but this particular one because Michael and I have known each other for many years. So please help me welcome Michael Matucci to the Ascension Hour. Welcome, Michael Matucci. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me. Great to see you as always, and glad to share with all our peeps everywhere checking us out today.
Yes, it's going to be fantastic. So I am ready to get started. And as usual, Michael, we're going to welcome you as well. We're going to go ahead and just put the prayers around this and that beautiful frequency. So everything is coming from that wonderful aligned place where we all are benefiting. So let us just uncross our legs and place our hands in our hearts. And let us take a deep and nice slow in-breath into our heart space from this horizontal plane. Deep in-breath into the heart and hold it as I ask you to connect with that beautiful, dazzling, white, crystalline flame of light inside. From where the source of creation has created you, just make connection with that pure place and then release your breath nice and easily out. Take another deep, slow in-breath all the way to the center of your crystalline, diamond, dazzling heart. And hold your breath as you draw your attention downward to your lower chakra, passing through your Earth Star chakra, all the way down to the heart of Sophia Gaia, to the heart of Pachamama Gaia, and drop into her crystalline heart and release your breath downward. And on your next deep in-breath, slow it down even more. Draw a strong in-breath into your heart and connect with that crystalline heart with its love inside and with your love as you hold your breath. Connect upward. Draw the attention upward to your upper chakras, passing through your soul star chakra, going all the way up to the great central sun and to the heart of source where the creation takes place. Connect with your heart to its heart and draw the breath upwards. And now on this next in-breath, draw another deep in-breath from this horizontal plane, all the way back into the center of your heart, in that crystalline diamond light inside. And notice the connection to below and above in this vertical axis of light as you're centralized in your heart. And as you hold your breath now inside, I want you to allow yourself to release the breath from inside all the way out in all directions, above you, below you, to your left, to your right, to your front and behind. And move that breath all the way out to the outer edge where you are now enclosed inside this dazzling ball of light. Release your breath. Now, allow yourself to be completely enclosed and encapsulated in this dazzling, glowing sphere of light that is on your outer edge of your spiritual body, that is completely protected and honored by this crystalline diamond light from the will of Almighty, I am presence. Anything less than this divine perfection may not interact or interfere in any which way. And we trust that all that our beautiful presenter will be sharing is coming from this centralized place, centralized in this vertical and horizontal axis, right in its center heart. And we're all going to receive that in which is for our highest good today. And anything that is less than that will not have any voice or any way to come and play. Let it be, and so be it. Let us open our hearts and be in the receptive mode to hear completely from our beloved Michael Matucci today. And so be it. Let us begin. So good. So, my dear sacred brother, Michael Matucci, here we are on this incredible moment, this golden now, on this ascension walk, that I feel that I have been really a privileged individual that have gotten to watch yours for many years and be a witness to your magnificence and your grace, and that in which you're bringing really forth now. And I really would like my audience to get a taste for that. And I want to start with, where are you now in this moment? Because this ascension journey has been like this, and it seems to be getting softer in its wave. Where are you in this golden now? Let's start with there.
All right. Happy to share, honey. Thanks. What I noticed is that for me now is that the journey seems to just keep going. No matter what check boxes get ticked on any point about my own advancement and expansion, no matter how I view myself in comparison to where I was, where I viewed myself in comparison to people I used to emulate or at least look up to, teachers and friends and people on the path and cosmic brothers and sisters. And as I have moved in a continual ascending direction, and this separation between us has grown or shortened, or just where I thought I would be and what I thought I'd be feeling at this point, and living so many years on mission, I came to realize that the life game is just the life game. Yeah. There isn't any ascent. There isn't any, like, for me, like, you're done ascending or you're enlightened, and I believe that maybe some beings got to this point, but I've just moved beyond this idea that life is going to be just so nice when this is all done and we can all be together. It's like, no, the life game is the life game. And in order to continue this beautiful adventure of life means we continue to have opportunities through weird people and tough situations and, odd things happening and new adventures. There isn't a done point at this while we're on this planet. So now I'm at a point of a little bit of just, okay, like, I'm starting to get this life game thing up, and then just where am I to serve today? It's all about, for me, my present moment. What's my job today? Moving beyond this idea that I need to complete something or be somewhere or have something that's going to serve X amount of people, and just say my service is today. What's in my presence? Do that the best of my ability, and be the change that I'm choosing to bring forth, and having more fun and joy with it as each day.
Yeah. So you touched upon several things, because it is fantastic that that consciousness that used to run as a program, as if you had to arrive somewhere, that you also came to that place. I don't have to anywhere because I'm already here. And it is to go through it. It is to just go through it with whatever shows up in this moment, and to go through it. Yet from a different lens, do you not find that it's like everything you experience was always being experienced, yet the way you're able to experience it is way more different, because that arrival point has really happened. That arrival wasn't out there, was through here, so that you can experience that like right here. Yet the richness of that in which is being experienced has so much more, seems like, liberation in it. Are you finding that the struggles seem to have like vanished in some ways, yet it's not like a whole lot has shifted on the outside, but like within has really shifted on a template where you're experiencing life truly difficulty, which is tapping into that joy.
Well, I'll tell you a quick story that helps illuminate this for me. Is that when I was growing up, like so many of us, a highly sensitive, energetic being, I had no idea what anything about that at the time. And we moved, and we went to an area with my family, and I was still elementary, middle school, and those barriers and boundaries and respect were not honored, and the kids were relatively brutal. I mean, I can only imagine what kids are now, considering, or maybe we're just talking about bullying more openly, but it was pretty rough, very rough for me. And over the course of several years, I drew in my sensibilities. I drew in my field. And it took over the amount of years to be able to relax that out, not too far where many folks are feeling the whole suffering in the world, finding the harmony of being able to use my sensitivity to navigate my situation, feel for people, but then be in divine love and stand with them, for them, and helping project what they're project their messages and empower what they're doing. So I brought that in, but now I'm using first my sensitivity to look inside of me. So now whatever's going on, now it's, instead of, well, this thing's going on, I'm going to be equanimous to it. I'm going to be in love with it. I'm going to say, this is happening for a reason. What's going on? What is this inside of me that's like resisting this or triggered by that? And I developed over time, use my sensitivity for me. No one's attacking me. I don't have to be peaceful with it. I get to play with it. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a beautiful emotion of anger. Well, what's that about? It's okay. Oh, there's a little bit of grief. What's that about? Not trying to meditate it away or get rid of it, but see it and honor it and say, wow, my system's working so well. It's showing me. And then now I'm able to play with it. It's so much different than, it's been a huge difference. So yes, the same scenarios can play out. I thought we reached a situation last year, where I had another being come in and attempt to really manipulate. And I thought, didn't I already do this lesson? But then I saw, this is just part of our earth field now. People just manipulate. They do these things. Instead of making it wrong or thinking I can elevate past it, I'm like, let's dance. Yeah. I know you like to dance, honey. So, exactly. It's like, let's dance.
Exactly. What was the tipping point for you, Michael? That tipping point where it changed within, that this is, for example, happening to me versus this is happening for me. Let me play. When was that tipping point? Like, do you remember a specific moment that the light bulb went on, or was it more gradual for you?
For me, it was a gradual progression, and there are two particular awareness points, reflection points that I knew. Was one, moving out of a 3D space, or at least my awareness moving beyond a 3D space and doing a lot of Eastern work, meditation and yoga and martial arts, and being the stillness and recognizing, wow, I can be this, I can be even. And then more recently, in the last years, doing the work that I do now, we have something called the quantum leap technique, and we get out of space and time, but in a practical way, not staying here present. Now I can, instead of meditating out and levitating above, I could just be with it. And the more that I did that, and the more that I began to tune myself, remind myself, it's just been the training, inner training, that everything's working for me. Yeah. So as I did that, remember more, faster and faster. And now even the littlest things, the message that doesn't arrive, the thing that I wish to happen, the expectation that's not met, or the thing that kind of interrupts the day that I used to treat as like a thing you do. Oh, got to go change the oil with the car. So most people in the past, I would just maybe I would be conscious maybe a lot of the time from a little bit of time. But then the oil's just the oil. But what if the oil is also something that's showing me, also blessing me, changing my day? So becoming just attuned and aware that everything can serve me. The entire day is a game, every conversation, every email. And it's just the continual doing it, reminding myself to play with those circumstances. And yeah, it's this consistency is for me the more important than any one divine, lightning strike. It's been staying the course, choosing divine love, choosing my play, and doing it to an ever more graceful and dancing way.
Absolutely. And, and again, there are a couple of things as you say that I have like all these things that go off. Two things, as this week after week, I've been having different interviews, and it seems the same thing is happening to all of us, where those core, like real core traumatic wounds, as we, through this ascension journey, we've been able to meet them because they have kind of vibrated in a different oscillation out of our field. Our field has become lighter. We're able to experience the reality of now differently, with more of that nectar of divine love, not the harshness of it, not the struggle of it, more starting like that place starting to come in. And it seems like 2023, it seems like it is really charged with more of this play for so many of us. As I'm having this conversation, do you also find like it's this increased charge of play that's come? It's almost like as if it's come online, available for us for the years of this inner work that we had done, where it was so much like this. Our nervous system, our fields, now it's softened and softened. We can experience more of the true divine joy on this plane. Are you finding that?
I'm seeing various things. My work in the last few years has more, as I've been relocated again, the beings that I have been in more consistent contact with have been more through the services, but through the education, training, coaching, or creating. And so I'm seeing a bit of a wider panorama than I was before. It wasn't so many tight-knit cosmic friends. It was more like, okay, what's happening on the larger scales, and where can I serve? And I noticed in these past few years, and people have complained a lot about what's been shown on the big, on the screen in many respects. And after I remind them, this has been going, these types of controls have been going on for a very long time. There's nothing new about this at all. The difference is that now many more people can actually see them and talk about them. So it was not just you and me and a couple of us over tea, like, oh, did you see that? Or this, that, or it's now like, oh my gosh, it was on TV, such and such, or these people, such and such. We're like, okay, now we can share. And so it's enabled, some people have retracted from that. Some people have gone frenetic with that. And some people, now that it's continued on, are finally like, well, what if this is true? What else is true? And then, well, maybe this is just how it is. And now I might as well just enjoy my life, or at least be able to swim in these waters, as opposed to being, anxious and stressed all the time, which is really the most of what's causing the disease anyway. So we might as well look at this and say, this is a new panorama of life. I'm going to relax into it and then just see. What I like to do is show people, okay, what does this mean for you? What's your path? Right. It's not, people like retract, go home. I don't want to talk to anybody. I'll just keep my little family. But wait a minute, what if there's more? So I think because we're celebrating and noticing and sharing, it's speeding up the collective metabolism of these things, and more people have the chance to get to that place you're talking about and play and joy. And we can obviously go farther. Probably continue to go farther during our whole Earth existence. And it's interesting that all the blessings that have come out of these usurpations and controls, because it was time. It's time to speed things up, and now we get to do it together. So I look forward to seeing more of that. And I trust that we will.
I feel, there is that, again, like here we are, we got to witness these last couple of years, so much come to the awareness through that light, and as it was also part of us, so many of us being able to notice that in which we're seeing on the outside that had played inside of our own selves, that finally gave us the opportunity to kick us into that gear and take it from that consciousness of, okay, this higher love, this nourishing love, this self-love, but from that more of an intellectual level or on an etheric plane to like literally bring it in and actually choosing, like truly choosing to stand in it, to ground in it, to be with it, and the ability to say no and not take part, that whole divine empowerment, all of that, all of it seems to have been such a perfect way, the way it was orchestrated, just so that now, as we are seeing it, we're not struggling with it, yet we see how it's playing out. And being able to this lens of ascension, because the lens of ascension gives you the ability to see it. Again, it's not going out there, you see it here, and you choose whether you're interacting or not, and whether you're going to choose to play with what comes up or not. So it's like the ability to choose has been incredible, whereas for so long it was always there, but we didn't know we could choose.
Yeah.
Wow. Like what? Just like the UFOs, right? They're here. So many of us are seeing it and the others are not, but they're always there. It's just a matter of where your vibration is that you are. So then we remember we have the ability to choose. And when we choose that, holy wow, is that a whole different experience, right?
Oh, yeah. That's the free will, is our ability to choose how we feel in these circumstances. Things are going to happen. And doesn't matter how much people get, arrested or laws changed, or you move your whole house to some remote place. There isn't a place where life isn't. Okay, it's always happening. So you just get to choose. Well, what am I going to do to, I'm going to wait for somebody else to calm the waters, or am I just to calm the waters?
Exactly.
Well, what better than to calm the waters than to just play? Let me just play with these. If you're in a video game, the people aren't like cussing out the soldiers or the dragons or the enemies. They're like, whoa, oh my gosh, okay, let me just get back in the game here, get back in the game. For me, when I first learned of the illusion in which we live, it's very abstract.
Yeah.
But now the level of stuff going on is so ridiculous. Yeah. They're like, you wouldn't even put this in a movie because the audience would be like, nah. There's no way that would happen. It's so absurd. So we're getting shown here that this is a game. This is a game. Now, how are you going to choose to show up? Complain to the writers of the game, or just like be in your fortitude, and just sit there, or do your own thing and ignore everyone else, or get in the sandbox and play with everybody else, have good, healthy boundaries, and continue to mature and do the inner stuff, the inner play that enables you to have a continually more abundant and fun experience. And if something shows up in opposition, play with that, dance with that, because it's here to help you.
And let me ask you about that, because so last night I had a really, really, really dark dream. And I knew, because you're going to be on this show and it has to do with a deep, it has to do with all of that sex trafficking and stuff. So it really showed up in my dream last night. Oh my God, it was like horrendous. And yet in the dream, it was so incredible. I got to witness what was happening. And again, the choice was given. Okay, so I see this. How far do I want to engage in this? And what are my opportunities in here that I can actually literally do something about this. And within that last night in the dream was, I chose to see a different scenario. So why I'm bringing this up, because I was like, why did it, I woke up this morning, Michael was like, he was talking about he had dreamed Mexico. He's like, what did you dream, Mike? I was like, I cannot even tell you, because it was like one of those. And but I know, because you're coming on, you and I have talked so much about this whole chapter, this area. What I want to share with that audience, what we're speaking about is not that we are ignoring what's playing out on Earth, or what has surfaced up to be seen, or ignoring, like, for example, what's taking place in Iran, like the insanity of it right now. That's not what we're speaking of. We're speaking of within, we are capable of seeing a different vision. We have that power. We have the power of seeing the way we want it to play out and use the higher powers within it. We have the power to choose whether we're going to engage in certain choices that will further enhance that in which has played out, or unplug, from certain things that has been feeding it or empowering it. So I felt this was very important to show up, because sometimes people are like, oh, you just want to focus on the joy and the happiness, being ignorant on the Ascension of this is playing out on a so-called real life. And I want to turn this over to you, because my address is, this is also real life. From this, our vision, we're capable of creating a different reality here on Earth. So I want you to address that, because that part was very present in my dream last night.
Yeah, I do feel that there have been many people for a very long time, and as people get greater levels of awareness, they do retract from things happening, and they do ignore them. And some people do consider themselves above it, and they can do that. That is true. That some people, I asked somebody I thought was a very powerful being one time, what do you think your life purpose is? To be happy. And in a way that was very superficial, it's kind of like, well, this might be something more to that. What do you mean? Oh no, just to be happy. So that all exists. So it's coming from a real place. The thing is that it's each of our own opportunities to establish our own level of discernment. Whether we're however many thousands or however many millions or whatever number makes sense coming here to make these shifts, if we each do our one part of the mosaic, our one little tile, really, really beautiful. I mean, we look at a whole mosaic, a beautiful mosaic done by an ancient artisan, and it's like, wow, but you dive in and they're just these little one-colored little pieces and the plaster in between and everything, and the structure behind. What if you're the structure behind? What if you're the plaster in between? Does everyone have to have the shiny color over here? Or is the shiny color over here better because it's higher or lower? No, you just do you. I do me. And then I trust my brothers and sisters. I trust the divine that the rest is out here. The rest is here, present, and being taken care of. If I stretch out beyond mine because I think you're not doing yours well enough, then who am I serving here? Is that really coming from my divine guidance? Is that coming from my head or my fear or the rage of injustice? So these topics do require people to dive in, but most important is, what does it mean to you? People say to me, like, especially when I was more in it, and it's going to happen more later this year, ask, what can I do? What can I do? And I said, well, what's going on inside of you? How's your relationships? Do you know the kids on your block? Yeah. How do you know them by name? I mean, this is where, if you really care, it's the attention in society for the big issues like trafficking go to these really sensational aspects of it, right? And everyone thinks that the answer is to, let's go rescue everybody. Well, if you understand the dynamic here, you can rescue everyone and arrest everyone today. Everyone, if you could, let's just say theoretically it was possible, millions of people, it will be up again in 2 weeks, because the vibration of twisted sexuality, the incredible demand, the objectivity, the idea that this animalistic sex is going to satisfy someone, and that's all that's going to be able to satisfy them, and they have to get all the sexual energy out, all these these diminishment energies and delusions of the truth isn't reality. If you just do that for yourself, you are already active. And maybe that's the message anybody gets. So I would say, look, for those who are saying, you should do more, do this, look inside yourself, because the world that you see is a reflection of you, literally, not just generally, but even the situations that are happening on the national levels in some way, there's a judgment or there's a reflection happening, and that's where your work is. And if everyone just did that, wow, everyone would just pop. It would be, some of these things would be over immediately. So, honor each other, I would say, and really dive into if there's if you're feeling like someone ought to be doing something or not doing something, then first look inside yourself, because that's just giving you that trigger that you're having is simply your own trigger happening inside for you to learn something and grow somewhere. And when I do me, and I do it with joy, in happiness, in love, then I can be much more powerful as well. And it's all about our beingness. How am I doing the things that I'm doing? My mission is my beingness. Even before I say or do anything, am I in alignment? Am I coming from love? I'm just going to beacon out my beingness first, then take inspired action from this place.
So happy I'm so happy you touch on that key point, Michael, that is, whatever you choose, whatever that is, and for the audience, through this ascension journey, because we have taken action from that place of anger, from that place of rage, from place of mad, from place of all of those. And the ascension walk, ultimately, it is when you get to take that action from that alignment, and it is from an inspired, loving place. It truly, and that's that where it's matured, it's marinated, it's been grounded, and it comes from that lightheartedness, and it has a lot of power in it, because it does not come to manipulate result. It's just the divine expressions of it that comes out. And to really have it come from that place, because it goes within the field, and that creates so much impact. It's energy either creates or destroys. So it becomes that conscious choice that many of us are doing better and better, and some days maybe not as good, depending what's taking place, what still has surfaced to clear within, and some days just a lot better, because we get to feel, it feels better. And on the outside, the expressions of it is greater. So I'm so happy you spoke about that, because that part is changing. And again, and non-judgment to others, however that's going to be. I had this conversation with my mom, because a lot's happening in Iran right now. I don't know if so she calls, and of course she gets, we're monitoring her not to get pulled in, watch, but she's also, every time she gets the chance to get through the phone, because the internet is shut down around, just to be able to talk to her brother and sister that are there, and they report what's happening. And it's very interesting how none of that is being shown on any major news and nothing, but it's on social media. So she calls, and then I can see her vibration is shifted, and she shares, oh, well, honey, did you know this? And I just take her to this place of prayer. I was like, Mom, pray. He's like, I'm praying, but how do you want me to pray? I said, Mommy, see the vision that you want to see for the people. He's like, but how can I? Because they're suffering. This has happened. That's happened. I was like, okay, yes, we're not going to deny that, but see them not suffering. See them, choose the vision that you want for it. Feel that love and come from there, and recognize that each of those individuals have an agreement with the divine plan, that they've come here to bring light to this so things can transform. And just to watch her not get pulled in, but also see what's in her power, rather than, because very easily she can get pulled in, and then she calls me, and where am I with it, And it's very interesting because there is something to find this balance. How do we not get pulled in? How do we stand and come from a place of inspiration? And how do we remain really true to where we are on our walk without not sort of like going off the course, because we have the desire for a better future for these children, and however way that's playing out. I just use that as an example. And what do you say to individuals, like when they call, like, let's say you mentioned, you touched up on this, but I really want to say, like, forget about individual, like there was yourself when you were so heavily working with this, like, what were some of the key points you used not to get pulled in? Because I also know you got pulled in, but how did you find the balance of not pulling, okay, let me stay here, let me focus on this? Because for me was my vision was so much bigger than me that I could stay here, not get pulled in. I want to hear from you what helped you so you can help our audience.
Yeah, I feel that what made the difference is taking the path of self-mastery that I've taken in this chapter, which is the work that I'm doing here, and what we're bringing to people is so powerful that I recognize that these offerings were a part of my mission, even though my mission was creatively focused and bringing forth these stories through speaking and through film and different creative means. I recognize that it's getting beyond the mental, like the mental. And I've talked about this for years, and people think that they're aware, and they think that they're evolved, and they think that they're feeling, right? But that doesn't happen up here. It doesn't happen up here. And it takes more than noticing that. It takes the mastery, the time to take your next path, my next path of mastery. And what's happened for me, honey, and again, it wasn't any one moment. It was just doing the work that I do now, again and again and again and again inside myself. And then like little I imagine it like the limitless, screen, even though I other than have all of those energetic abilities you and the gang has, like, and I wanted for so long, I love to be able to see you guys see this in the field and see that. But my vision has increased here in the now. And now I can see the splits, and I can see this is going this way. And that's why this, and I get to honor people's paths. The women that I've met men too, mostly survivor leader women. Yeah. I see the immense benefit that they're giving humanity, the immense difference that they're making in the lives of children, their own, starting with their own, and then others. And a lot of them have stepped up into speaking out about things going on in our country and our world in general, because they're just so strong and courageous. And I'm like, wow, where would we be without this voice? Where would we be without this leadership? Where would this subject wasn't even, it's been happening for thousands of years and maybe more. Nobody even knew about it 20 years ago. It wasn't even a word. There wasn't even sentences. It wasn't even an official crime in many of the aspects. So like, thanks to them, we're able to have this awareness now. As I broadened it, I started realizing, I said, well, what's my contribution? Because there are people speaking out there, many speaking out their stories. Obviously, there's a long way to go to get to even the awareness up, much less the action. But what's my contribution? What's my tile in the mosaic? And I'm a bridge builder. I build bridges of understanding. So I said, I'm going to really get this. And I started to unwind it and like take it down, because if I can get it down to the level of you and me, the level of the people around us, that's where the change happens. It's not going to be because it's on the news. It's not going to be because everyone's arrested or the top politicians change, or we're a vibrational universe. It doesn't matter what happens up there. It would be nice if we would all see it. But if we did see it, would anything really happen? I mean, look at the last few years. Millions and millions and millions of people came to knowledge. And a lot of people did step up to talk about the insanity going on. But did it change? No. At least it didn't appear to. But what did change is they changed. And it's enough of us changing. So when it comes to something like trafficking, it's so rooted in the twisted sexuality of our planet. And you don't blame some other country or just Hollywood, or it's pervasive in society. And so going out and criticizing, that these folks or this for not happening, this is an extreme example of the twisted sexuality happening all around us. And it's happening with, kids are getting into pornography at 4 or 5 years old. And if that can happen, it's happening up and down. You have religious leaders and spiritual leaders who are, doing sexual stuff to kids and other people and using their power in different ways. It's a vibration. So I say, what can you do? What can I do today to be the change, be the beacon? Not just, yes, go ahead and post on social media or volunteer somewhere or whatever, but where in me does that twisted sexuality exist? Where am I objectifying or idolatizing or, like really loving on some people on social media who look all nice and sexy, or putting my nice and sexy things over there? What vibration am I contributing to? Oh, but I don't do anything bad. But what's the vibrational quality of what you're doing? Everything is uplifting or depressing the world. Everything gives life or takes life. There isn't any neutral. There isn't any casual words and casual posts and casual comments. Everything matters. You matter. Everything you say turns to matter. So recognizing that that's the everything. And so do you, and that is because we're all connected in this quantum field. That's another huge awareness, like really seeing how somebody would shift when I shifted. Then I recognize that's where it all begins. And so we do have the power. This idea that someone else has the power is the illusion. You have the power, and it starts with every choice that you make, every trauma that you transform, every limiting thing that you're sharing, that you change into life-giving, every forgiveness that you offer and forgiveness that you ask. All of these things contribute. So you could be the biggest activist on the planet and really just never leave your even neighborhood, never even get on social media, because it's all the activism's inside. And the more that I do that, the more I can see. So I can see, oh, wow, that's your path. Okay, I can assist you on your path. I can assist you on your path. I can share. I can hold someone accountable in my way who's in my world. And if we each do our world, starting in our own house, change will become much easier. That's where it's happening. So I would say personal responsibility, choose to see the truth, continue to clear your vessel so you can see greater and greater levels of truth, big T truth, capital T, divine truth, not my truth is I'm right, but the capital T truth, the big cosmic play, and play your role. Yeah. And do it and realize there isn't a yet you doing it or you're not. It's just a choice that you can reconfirm every hour of every day. And then everyone gets to be an activist. And the more you do that, the more you'll see the truth. Yeah. And then be the truth. That's the ultimate. Be truth.
Be that divine truth. Thank you, Michael, because again, this is all about the Ascension hour. What has this Ascension journey been? And within its journey has been many, many layers, multi-layers, multi-dimension, multi-faceted. And at one point, the truth of it was expressed in this way, and another point of it, the truth of it was expressed in that way, and another point it was expressed that way. And all of them were truth during that journey. It's not that they weren't, it's just what one had the ability to access within that time-space reality during that, to its capability, and that changes and that changes. And to be a witness of each other evolving and changing and blossoming again, just like a flower, it comes, it blossoms as flower, it's in this way, and then it sheds its flower, then again sometime later it has a bud and blossoms to another expression of it. And just to be a witness to that and to see what comes out of that, I found so incredible. And I can see the connection of it with everybody else. And that space of love that we're speaking of, that divine love that has stepped forward, that has allowed the veils to be so thin where you can really see through that lens. And it's a very compassionate, loving lens that doesn't want to rescue, doesn't want to sort of like save anything, because it notices, it does notice the divine plan in action in the imperfection as well. So then it gives more of that space where you can really do you, because you really see when you do you, you're really impacting the whole and at what level you are. It becomes a whole different true game that is being played. And it's very rejoicing. I keep coming to this word of rejoicing because I can feel the rejoicing in it, and the awe and the wonderment. And I know you have been experiencing that quite a bit, more so recently, because it seems like there are many of us more so recently are getting the beginning taste of the richness of this. It's like, okay, all these years I didn't know the game was this thing.
Right.
No, I really want to play this game.
Yeah, right. It's they close down, the ecstatic dances, and they close down the ceremonies, and they shut the doors, and they do all these things. And people got to look elsewhere for the celebration. The celebration have to look like this. My big, or wait a minute, celebration of joy is up to me. It's not up to some event or some man or woman who's running it, or this community or that community. It's me. I am the connection point.
Yeah.
God is in me. I am connected to the all. So anytime I'm chasing or leaving my emphasis on anything else outside of me, whether it's something I'm taking, I'm eating, or events or community, I can enjoy everything. However, I recognize that I am that. And these interesting, and I've had the chance to being guided to live different places, and I was guided to somewhere where I didn't have access to any communities at all like that I was used to, and I could at least start to meet people and do different things. And I realized, but wait a minute, this is part, if I'm going to go to the next level in my journey, sometimes the journey looks a little more plain. Sometimes it looks a little bit more mundane. Sometimes people aren't interested in connecting. And so I get to recognize that this is one big path, and it's so much more than just finding my little niche in my tribe and having that, that's all. No, it's actually getting up and working at a truck stop, just being present wherever you are and doing something that's way out of convention and being your love presence here. When it's jarring or not invited, or people are like, I actually did, other than a really great event coordinator, even though I'm a good leader and director, like the whole getting people together for something is, but you know what? I moved to a new place, and not last year, the year before, and I was like, I'm going to organize everybody on the block for this block gathering, right? Yeah. Just because someone's got to do it. It's so important to know people on your block. It's so people walk past everyone, but we're here together. Who's closest to you in any time of need is people right here. Yeah. So I went around and knocked on all the doors, and I thought, at least I can meet people knocking on doors and invite them to this thing, invite them to come, just like a potluck outside. There was an astounding amount of people who didn't even want to open the door. Yeah. Or they would open the door and they'd be like, what? Yeah. We used to knock on people's doors as kids. Like, they're like, who, what? Like, that was the deal, and how different. But, I could retract and say, oh, look at our world now. People are scared. They don't want to interact. Or I could just say, wow, people don't want to interact. They're scared. Oh my gosh. What can I do differently? What can I do to live boldly in my space that I enjoy living? What can I do to connect and honor their their boundaries. What can I do to reach beyond it and say, no, you're coming out with us. That's the game. The game isn't what, depending on what somebody else does, whether it's your neighbor, your partner, your coworker, your what, it's about what you do. You determine the field, and the game will change, as quantum physics has shown us, just by looking at it. Just by looking, you don't even have to say anything. Just observe something, it's going to change its nature. So remember that we are player one. We are the one to come in and actually do it and test it and play, because it's more than just a mental awareness. It takes the repetitions, it takes the practice and the play and the exploration, the experimentation. And that gives the texture to this life game. And the more I do that, the more I realize, oh, I am in control of how I feel here. Then more play can come in, more relaxation can come in. You know that you're the conduit, I'm the conduit, and I can, okay, this is happening for me. I can do this. I got this. We're going to have fun with this. And be okay if opposition shows up. Be okay if tension shows up. It's just the game doing its thing. It's life expressing itself. And you can play with it or whatever. It's up to you. And you can take a day off and just retract and all that too, but recognize that the world's responding to you and it's also reflecting you. And that's the true power. That's when people say, you don't know your power. Someone used to tell me that years ago, and I'm like, what are you talking about? You know, like, I'm not, and now I get it. Like, oh my gosh, I'm the quantum being, and we're reflecting each other. I just do me, and I'll affect my world. Oh my gosh, this is so empowering.
Fantastic.
And then what part of me I choose to give to the world? I choose to bring life and love and light, even in my text messages, even in my emails, even in the mundane, and especially in the things that I've pushed away or judged or not liked or avoided. Like, no, especially now, not for the other person, not because you have to, not because you have to be love and light. No, because I feel my love and light, because I say I love and I do for me. And then whatever happens, however it's received is fine. Just do you, and do you to the best way possible. And you're going to have a lot more fun, at least. And then things will change around you.
Fantastic expression of that, Michael. Just fantastic. And thank you for all of that vibration, and all these years sending texts to each other. I'm blasting with emoji loves. Did you see all of those? Like, because it really comes from yourself. You feel so good first before anybody else. Wait for anybody. So speaking of this, as we wrap up, so what play do you have coming up for you and in your service, so my audience can learn about it, they can experience what you're sharing, and they get in touch with you, and just share a little bit about that, please.
Yeah, so this season has called me into, even as much as I love creation, direction, and all that, I've got to be steeped this last year in business and learned about digital advertising, marketing, sales, copywriting, all these things, because every cause, every great healing, every great word, everything requires to be marketed and sold. That's just the nature of an interaction in our world. So I'm working with, this is my company here, Encompass Life, and we help people take this next steps on self-mastery, or simply start wherever they are in their intense mental, physical healing journeys, or use these techniques to help their coaching, their healing, their leadership. So it's very deep inner work that really has, helps change a lot of lives. A lot of miracles coming from it. And I've been learning and remembering about business, even though I thought I was done with that. Because, okay, it's time to learn. Okay, this is how business is done today. So let's do this business thing so other people can be empowered, both in our company and then the people we serve. So we'll be doing a lot more of that coming onto a larger stage this year. And then I have a book, maybe 2 books that will come out this year. That one deals with the topic we were talking about before, and the unbelievable things that happen in our world, and what are the blocks to belief and the blocks to that expansion that we don't know about. It's not always like about it and you're choosing. No, sometimes there's suppressed stuff and patterns and programs that inhibit people's vision. So we help shift those. And then I have my beautiful survivor friend whose story I'm bringing to light. And then I have another book that I started because they're going to,
it happens.
because we do. that has to do with the power of our words.
Excellent.
Now, each and every word is a prayer coming into manifestation, and how we choosing love with every word that we say, choosing life, can have such a difference in our world. So it's something that I teach regularly anyway. So bringing some creative back.
Excellent.
And it's going to be a year of more of expression as the year continues on, getting out to our world through these vehicles. And
do you do private sessions, Michael? If anybody want to get in touch with you to have private sessions, do you offer that?
I do sometimes when I fit in to mix everything else. I do some. We have also a team here. Fantastic. Right. So we do private and kind of very small groups too, because the group experience we find is very helpful for that, for the ascension, for the growth, for the healing. And for the people who choose to then share it with their world, their family, business, community, partnership, clients, whatever. So it's always private. It's always very small, because this journey we're talking about today, it's just, like I said, so much more than the mental journey. You can hear all the things we're saying, or maybe you already do everything that we're saying, and you get it here. It's a whole different thing to get it from your beautiful brain to your trillions of cells, until all the DNA in those trillions of cells. And then to have it so forged that when opposition and tension shows up, you can stand as love, or at least move with it and dance with it, and then eventually have a life of play. That takes embodiment process and empowerment process. So we have various journeys that we do between online and in presence, and different types of support to take people on various levels. So it includes a very heavy piece of, it's always going to be very intimate and very sacred. And sometimes it's just one-on-one, sometimes it's group, it's always small. And
I put the link, you send that to, I put it on this YouTube, so people will know how to get in touch with that as well, which would be amazing. And the last 14 speakers, all of us, it's been the topic of embodiment, like really embodying all of this. All of us have been dedicated to this. So it seems like every speaker, all of us in this, okay, now let me embody this, like really embody it. And thank you so much for your embodiment and your allowing and your service and your true passion and heart, because again, it is that which gives another the permission to tap to their own and allow that to come forward, come online, and be the driving force. And I thank you so much, Michael, for being on the show today. And is it just encompasslife.com? Or I'll put the other link. I have it already.
Encompasslife.com. And we share it a lot because we believe the wisdom is to be shared. Yes. So I have a Facebook group as well that we share readily. We're starting to, we put out like new trainings and discussions every week, sometimes twice a week. We'll give you, because the wisdom is ancient. Right. The difference is that we will walk with people through those fires again and again and again until they feel that strength inside themselves and think, I can do this. I can do this by myself, because that's how we're going to empower people. I mean, it's nice to make a film or do an event for thousands of people. However, the embodiment process, to be accelerated, requires that standing and moving through and facing what's going on, getting that strong inside, which, is going to happen with more intimate, small.
And we'll put that link on there too, so the audience can join and really receive what they need on their ascension journey. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Glad to be here.
Any last word, Michael, before we close off for the audience?
The last, something just came to me a minute ago, and it's just whatever you think that keeps you from doing anything that we said today, that thing that you think, but I have this, or this happened to me, or this is happening in my life. That is exactly the reason why you can. That is exactly the point that is showing you your niche, is showing you showing you what's ready to be healed in your consciousness, and potentially where you're here to serve. So welcome in, like, that thing. Oh, wait a minute, that thing. That was meant to happen for me. And tap into whatever that you're resisting. Open to the possibility that it's the perfect thing for you to get to where you're choosing to go.
Yeah, fantastic. And thank you so much for your time and energy, Michael. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for your truth in its divine expression. And thank you again for your service. And I just love having you on. I really, really appreciate your time today for the audience, and welcoming again our beautiful audience to receive that in which really resonated with you, and anything that you didn't, toss it out. Like, we're not here to enforce anything, and we are here to give you a lens in which we're experiencing that nectar of the divine that is fueling us on our own personal walk, and we kind of really wish that for others, because it brings a lot of freedom in it. And we are divine free individuals anyway, so it is important to remember that and walk that. And as always, the biggest thing about Ascension is sharing. Sharing is the biggest part. We came to Earth to share, to celebrate. And if what you learned today that Michael shared and brought forth, that really touched you to the core, please share the video with others. Let others also benefit. Come join his group and through Encompass Life, and let them also be empowered. The more each of us are empowered, the more we're changing the realities on Earth, and we are truly bringing the heavenly goods here on Earth to be shared. So thank you so much. We love to see your comments. Thank you for being you. Thank you for being exactly you, and more of you coming forward. And Michael, love you so much. Have a beautiful, blessed day. Much love to all of you. And we're going to have Jason Michael Powers next week. So more Michael energy coming. Love you. Have a beautiful day. Much love.